Violence in the eastern areas of the Democratic Republic of Congo has reached a devastating level, prompting the Unhcr refugee agencies to sound the alarm. Over the past 2 years, the conflict between the non-state armed group and M23, and the country's army has resulted in the displacement of more than 4 million people, adding to the already long history of violence in the region, spanning 3 decades. Our reporter Khadija Tijalo has the details of that in this report.
The ongoing violence between the non-state armed group March 23rd and the army in the Democratic Republic of the Congo is causing major challenges for humanitarian efforts. Access to aid has been hindered, putting displaced and civilian populations at even greater risk. The United Nations Humanitarian Commission on Refugee is calling for an immediate end to the violence and urging all parties to respect international humanitarian law, human rights, and protect civilians. Meanwhile, as if Perusi, a displaced individual, shared her harrowing experience of fleeing her home due to escalating violence. She described how the fighting intensified and the terrifying sound of gunfire and bombings became a constant presence nearby. We fled home because of fighting. It first started far away in Musaki. We thought it would not spread to our area because there were so many soldiers there. We felt safe. Later the soldiers left and we were worried about our safety. We started hearing gunfire and bombing in the hills. Many bullets were fired near our home. Sally Visia from the United Nations Humanitarian Commission Agency emphasized that civilians are enduring the horrors of war and conflict. In response, the United Nations Humanitarian Commission Agency is working diligently to provide shelters using the available resources. The impact of the conflict is heavily felt by civilians who suffer the horrors of war and conflict. Families are separated, children no longer go to school, food has become complicated to find, and people are forced to depend on humanitarian assistance. United Nations Humanitarian Commission Agency is trying to build shelters with available resources. We started with 3,000 shelters in Wellingara, and we already have 136 hectares of land allocated for extension of the displacement sites. Reports indicate that since the eruption of renewed violence on the night of 18th March 2022 in the North Kivu province between government forces and non-state armed groups, the conflict has inflicted a staggering toll on civilian populations over the course of 2 years. This continuing violence has driven a spiraling death toll, counting at least 798 civilian deaths across the territories of Masisi and Nyiragongo, and triggered the mass displacement of over 4 million people across the provinces of North Kivu, South Kivu, and Ituri. The humanitarian needs in the region have grown exponentially as conditions continue to deteriorate. For Eyeafrica News, Khadija Tijalo.